My name is Philip McQuillick and I'm the CEO of Peg City Car Co-op. First and foremost, we're a car sharing company. Our goal is to deliver a easy to access rental service that takes people out of privately owned vehicles into car sharing vehicles, and also changes their general transportation habits so they're traveling fewer miles in personally owned vehicles. We're of course also locally owned by our members as a consumer co-op. I think to understand what we do is actually to understand that the number one thing that we need to do is make something that's affordable and convenient, that convinces people that this is a better option than owning a car. And then from that comes a bunch of other very important things, right? So that's some of the reduced CO2 emissions, right? Fewer cars on the road, less congestion. And in the grander scheme of things, we're only a small part of this, but changing the way Winnipeg actually is structured and designed and how it feels, right? We want to move away from a city that's focused on cars and move it towards a city that's focused on people, pedestrian friendliness, density, things like that. So the way that Peg City got started, it's got to go back 14 years. We're 14 years in operation now. Number of years before that, so we're talking about now 15, 16 plus years ago. A bunch of community-oriented people who are known in both in the environmental sustainability side, but also co-op side and community economic development. I think they basically looked around and they were seeing this car sharing in Canada come up in places like Vancouver and Montreal. I think they basically asked, like, why can't we have this in Winnipeg? What would it take to do this? And after a feasibility study and business plan, they realized that maybe this could actually work. From there, it was taking one step at a time. Small victories, right? First couple cars, convincing a few like-minded people to pay for the $500 co-op share, working with Assiniboine Credit Union, our financial institution, to help get some of those cars going. We also worked with Jubilee Fund. There was even small government grants, right? Everything was kind of cobbled together. Like, okay, let's put a couple cars on the road. And then, from there, just incrementally growing. I'd say the first number of years, it was a tough go as a small co-op with not a lot of funds and not a lot of money to have all these loss leaders out there not paying for themselves the cars. That's a challenge, but we succeeded and we did it. And today we're thriving with 200 cars, nearly 5,000 members. We are of course in the car rental space. That's our industry, but as a subset of that, in car sharing, we have leveraged smartphones, technologies, and apps to be able to give people a really easy, streamlined, pretty much mostly 99% of the time bug-free experience, right? You sign up, you do your registration, it's all online. People sometimes come into our office to pick up a fob, but you don't even technically need that fob. Once you have the app, you can use your app to make your bookings, locate your car. You go up to that car, use your phone to open it up. You get into it. In the glove compartment is a box that's connected to this technology. So all this works because there's a cellular connection and some basic intelligence that we install into the car that's connected to the vehicle's 12-volt battery. That people's bookings get downloaded into this hardware in the car. The booking's validated, they get in. The car cannot start without that validation, even because the key's in the car all the time, even when people aren't using it, right? So once they grab the key, they get in, they grab the key, they go. We're monitoring where the cars are, the distance that they've traveled, how long they've kept the car for. They bring it back to the spot where they're supposed to, if that's round trip. But of course, in the last couple of years, we've also launched free floating car sharing. People can take a car from one spot and leave it in another. And again, all of that's facilitated through the app, through technology, through GPS, making it all very seamless and easy for people to access the service. And so of all the bookings we get, our call volumes are not very large. We can process everything with a relatively small team. And we're standing on the shoulders of giants. We're a small organization. We didn't build our own software. We came in later in the game. There are other car share providers like Moto Co-op in Vancouver, or Communato out of Montreal. And so we actually were licensing that software from another car share provider. They've worked out a lot of that. And we work with them very closely to develop the different functionalities and tools that matter to our members. And it's really great to have other collaborators in the industry who are supportive of car sharing, even if it's not being run by them. First of all, We started as a round-trip car share provider, right? So that's where you pick up a car from a specific station. You book in advance, anywhere from months in advance to a few minutes in advance. You go to the car, you have your set booking time, you pick it up, you go do it, and you bring it back before the time ends. And we have people definitely booking cars, and they're taking them for road trips even. I personally have taken Peg City cars all the way, down to New York, and we have basically the map, because it's all the GPS. You can see where all of our cars are, and we can pull up on the map, and we can look at North America. I think I've seen a car all the way down in Florida, and all the way from, even in Canada, all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. Now on the other end, we have Flow. So Flow has been around for just a little bit over 2 years. Flow is a little bit different in that it's what's called one-way car sharing. The way one-way car sharing works is that you book the car more in last minute. So within an hour of you needing it, you're looking for a Flow car, seeing where one's near you. You block it out for yourself, you go to it, and then there you can use one of our Flow cars for as little as a few minutes. Sometimes if someone has to run like a quick one-way trip, so they're in one part of the city within what we call our Flow zone, which has been negotiated with the city of Winnipeg. So these cars are actually parked on street. Time limits like 1 hour and 2 hour parking don't apply to our vehicles. They're in Wolseley, they need to go to the St. Boniface Hospital, for instance. So they can jump in a car in Wolseley, drive 10 minutes, park the car in the zone just around St. Boniface Hospital, and maybe from there they're going to get picked up by somebody or whatever, or take a bus, right? That's Flow. And so Flow is it's about last minute, very flexible, short bookings, and also many of them are one-way bookings. And of course, we're as a consumer co-op, we are still for profit, but we're for profit for a different purpose and different reasons. And I think that's something that even spoke, when we're talking to the administration of the city and when we're talking to the Winnipeg Parking Authority. I was explaining our mandate and what we care about and how our members are our owners. That speaks to people, and it speaks to the trust in the sense that you're not just some Johnny-come-lately who's just trying to make a buck, right? I think that definitely broke down barriers for us, got us into the right rooms to be able to build out some of these things that would make car sharing more successful in Winnipeg. We've been very successful in building very strong relationships with the Winnipeg Parking Authority, but also the planning department, because we actually work with developers. When Old Grace Housing Co-op in Wolseley was still in its project feasibility stage, we worked with them to help them bring the parking ratios down. So as a car share provider, the city recognizes that we get people out of cars. We shed as many as 15 vehicles per one car share vehicle. So that means that when you're building infill and you have to deal with these what are called parking minimums, I'm not going to get too much in the planning jargon, but essentially it can be a really big impediment. So if you're trying to build 50 units, and of that 50 units you have to build 75 parking stalls, and a parking stall can cost as much as, we're just talking about surface, like $8,000 to $15,000, not to mention going underground, $30,000, $40,000. Like, we're talking about affordability crisis, we should be talking about parking. It's a huge impediment to densification, to infill, and to affordable housing. But we worked with Old Grace to do that. Also 360 Osborne, which is another housing co-op, to actually install some of our first electric vehicles. A relationship between Easy EV, which is a private enterprise, to all come together and do our part. So the buildings provided the stalls where we can put cars down and provide charging stations. ACU provided the grants. Easy EV did it at cost for us, and we bought the vehicle. So we actually just completed our next 3-year co-op and business strategy. We have a number of things that we're looking to accomplish. So of course, number one, we want to continue to build our Flow service. I'd love to see, we're right now just shy of 50 vehicles. I'd like to see that service grow to 100. I'd like to see our Flow network, that's the area on the map where you can leave a car, expand with that as well and get into new areas. We'd like to see if we can start bringing car sharing to newer communities. So, along especially major transit corridors where they're doing densification, like say around the University of Manitoba or on McPhillips and places like that. So we think there's actually opportunity to create nodes of car sharing in more traditionally kind of residential and suburban neighborhoods where we're seeing densification. Also working with the city transit. Right now they're going through a tough phase because they've switched over, but as soon as that starts to get a little bit more solid and they get out of this difficult transition phase, we're really excited to see if we can build some additional partnerships with transit and integrate car sharing in a more seamless fashion. Art City, been a member with us for a really long time. We have a staff committee that's focused on equity and inclusion. That committee worked with Art City to develop a program that would get a lot of people, because they were seeing a lot of volunteers and new staff who were newcomers, who didn't have licenses. So we actually built a program where we're giving them credit to have some of the Art City folks who do already have licenses to use our vehicles to teach people how to drive. yeah, we got a lot of irons in the fire. And we're really excited about our future and what we can continue to accomplish. So something I think actually is a point of pride for us is that a couple years ago we brought in a consultant to help us improve the democratic process of the co-op. So we brought it from it just being something that we did at the AGM to digitizing it, making it an electronic voting process. And with that, we've seen a very high uptake. I think about over a third of our members vote in our elections now for the board of directors. So in terms of, we worked really hard to improve our communication there, make it easier and more convenient for people to vote. So that's one area where I think it's a mix of outreach, but also education, communication, and just making it easier for people so that we can ensure that we are meeting what's a very core principle and ideal of the co-op sector. I would say the most important issue facing co-ops from our perspective, even talking to some of the other, especially consumer co-ops out there, is the finance side of things. Now, of course, we're very grateful for our relationship with Centerpoint Credit Union. We've recently been working with also Jubilee Fund. We're very grateful that we've been able to use the Community Enterprise Development Tax Credit to our benefit, where we've been able to raise $2.6 million over the span of our co-op's life. Without those dollars, we wouldn't exist. To be completely frank, it would be pretty much impossible. We have been able to rely on the Community Economic Development Tax Credit, but a lot of other organizations are too small for that program. And so I would really love to see a way that we can help find better micro investment tools for smaller up and coming co-ops, so that they can get outside of just the member equity, be it if they're an owner structure or consumer or producer, right? Of course, the people who are part of that will bring in their equity, but it's almost never enough, right? So there's got to be other ways that you can bring investment dollars into organizations. And what I can say to that is I know Winnipeggers and Manitobans are excited to invest in their local community and their local economies. We have people writing us when we sell investment shares. We sell the max we can sell is $600,000 in one round. We're selling that in a matter of a couple days. We have people signing checks for $60,000. Now, of course, there's a tax credit that they get that 45% refundable, right? So it's a huge incentive. But when I'm talking to these investors, they're like, "Yeah, I want to put at least some of my dollars, if I can take it out of global equities market or what have you, and I can put it into Manitoba and put it to something that I care about." We have people who live in Ile-des-Chênes. We're like, I'll never be a CarShare member, but I don't care because I really think that what you're doing is fantastic. I think if we can find more ways to connect people who want to invest in their local economy and connect it to co-ops and unleash some of that economic potential, I think that's fantastic. And we're already doing that with programs like the CDTC, but are there other ways that we can do that to help grow and seed fund more co-ops from the grassroots and then up?